Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me. Got a couple people still arriving here. So just type in to your question box if you can hear me. This is Mike Long, and we are here for Money Getting with Mike, our Sunday session. I'll begin with the Lord's Prayer, and we'll get going. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. It's not temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Okay, great. We're up and started. I'm just going to jump quickly into the Facebook group and let everybody know that we're live here. So just give me one moment, please. Okay, great. All right. So let me find out if did anybody who's here either attend or watch the last webinar that I did, the last office hours I did on Saturday. So just let me know. If you didn't, that's fine, of course. Okay. No. Okay. Did anybody? No. Pete, you were here actually, weren't you? You might have. Okay. Well, anyways, where we left off last week, you weren't here, Pete? Maybe it was 2 weeks before. So that's fine. One of the things we'll be doing is we're going to start putting these in your members areas, the past replays of our webinars and so forth, and that'll be something that'll be quite cool, quite fun, and so it's certainly something that you can look forward to, and we'll have the things nicely organized. I generally tend to want these events to be quite eternal and quite useful going forward. So what I want to do, actually, I want to kind of send myself a file here really quickly. Did anybody who's here read the hashtag control that I just sent out yesterday? It's a PDF report. It's a 16-page video book. Let me know if you did that. I'm going to grab a flash disk. I'll be right back. Okay, it looks like, sometimes with these reports, can take a little time to get to them, but I'm going to walk you through it today. I think it's a pretty cool report. I think you'll actually enjoy going through it with me. So I'm just putting it onto a little flash drive and moving it over to this computer. This is my webinar computer. I don't use my MacBook Pro Retina for webinars. So let me just find this PDF on my computer here. So it would take me a while to download it. Okay, got it there. All right, just eject it here. Okay. Something took me a few days to write, and it's funny because weirdly enough, this is a new kind of a new take on an older technique, but it's kind of an underground technique, so a lot of people don't know about it in the first place. So I'm opening it up right now. Okay, so here it is. This is hashtag control, and what I'll do, first of all, I'll just kind of open it up for you to be able to see it, and kind of page through it a little bit here. And I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are as I'm showing this to you. It's probably kind of going by pretty quickly, but hopefully you can see it and get an idea of what it looks like. I'm just going to go back to page 1 here. So first of all, let me know if you can see what's on my screen, and also just give me your general reaction as you're looking at it. What it looks like to you, Obviously, if you've already read it, that's great. You can kind of give me a little bit more comments, but it's almost to your advantage if you haven't read it, because then it's the first time you're seeing it. So what are your so you can see it? What are your initial thoughts as you look at this? And there's no right answer. I'm just actually just genuinely curious what your thoughts are, and I'm going to go through. I'm going to take a bit of time with this, because we're really digging down into understanding the narrative. That's what we left off talking about last week in last week's office hours, and we've actually been talking about the narrative for a couple weeks here. It's such an important concept. So as you look at this right now, give me an idea on what it looks like to you, thoughts that you have, just as you initially look it over. Obviously, you're just looking at one page here, and we can even go page by page if we want to. But just let me know your thoughts, and I'll just take a few seconds, let you have a look at it, and see what you have to say. Okay, so Fran says testimonial and proof. Okay, so the first things that you think of are testimonials and proof. Great. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? I'm kind of curious what you're thinking about that. And if you're just arriving, I see we have a couple people that just came in. I pulled up, this is a hashtag control, which is an ebook with links that I just sent out yesterday to the NHB group and to the OMG group. It's a 16-page ebook, and I'll be going through this today. I want you to understand it, because this is a very powerful marketing mechanism, and it's very powerful for making your life easier and more enjoyable. And I'll get into some of the details behind that and explain it. So, Fran, when you looked at it, you're saying testimonials and proof. Fran followed up, says the visuals in the headline talks of a method. Okay, great. All right, so this word method really stands out for you right here. This word right here, method, really stands out for you. Actually, I think it says method a couple times in here somewhere. Maybe it doesn't. Actually, it looks like maybe that's the only place on this particular page. All right. So Fran says that, interestingly enough, what's jumping out to you is that it's kind of very visual. And what I'll do is I'll kind of pan through the rest of the book here just to give you a preview. So just kind of watch this visually for a few seconds, and you can kind of just take it in as I'm going through it. This is page 7. It's actually written in 3 articles. So as I go back to the beginning, there's the front page that has kind of a teaser. This is a teaser for the first article, a teaser for the second article, and a teaser for the third article. And these are elements that I'll kind of wind up talking about later on in the report. And this is just from a testimonial that Greg gave me a couple years back. It's a little quote. So this is the first article, Hidden in Plain Sight is the name of the first article, and it's on page 2, page 3, and page 4, and page 5. Okay, so it's like a four-page article. And then this is the second article called Day Job Killer. Okay, so on page 6, page 7, page 8, Mike McKay, page 9 with Fletch here. Okay, and then starting on page 10, we start talking about launch jacking, which is a way of doing affiliate marketing, kind of leverage affiliate marketing for getting kind of a fast start with things. So it starts on page 10, page 11, page 12, and page 13. And then there's 3 PS pages. The first one's with Jimmy Kelly, NHBer. Second is with Stephen Saunders. Did anybody see Stephen Saunders' post today on the Facebook group? It's really great. He's up to $4,500, or no, $5,400. I think next weekend is going to be our last money getting with Mike webinar, and I think I'll finally talk about email marketing then. I know I've been kind of teasing it, but now we have kind of more to talk about now that Stephen's really gotten up and running with it. This is the last page 16. This is with Martin and Jason Calori, so forth. So this is the end of things. Okay, so now I've scanned through the entire book for you. If anybody wants to, actually, let me just give you the opportunity now to download the book. It'll take a couple minutes, but I'll put the link to the ebook in your email. /download control. Send to all, and I'll send that to you in the chat window as well. Download control. And I think it'll be helpful. I think it's definitely worthwhile for you to download this, to click on this link and download this ebook. Definitely worthwhile. Okay. Great. Great. All right. So if there's any questions about that, click on it. It's about 39 megs, so it'll take a few seconds to download it, but then it'll go from there. All right, Fran. It starts that starts it. Then the visuals give you a clue. So what Fran is saying. All right. So Fran's comments: testimonials and proof. The visuals in your headline talks of a method, and then that starts it, and then the visuals give you a clue as to what's going on. All right. So you see this kind of method here. And then you're thinking, okay, well, what's this method about? And you see, well, you know, this guy here, Jimmy Kelly, he saved our business. He's earning some money. This visual from Gary here, over $250,000. You see with Fletch, giving you guys money really seems to work out for me. OMG is like a magic box where I put $100 in and get $2,000 out. So you see a picture of Fletch, and he's with his family. He's obviously very happy. Fran, you're opening it now. Always inspirational. That's great. I'm really glad to hear that. All right. So did everybody get that link? Let me just type into your message box that you've downloaded it, just so I know that we're kind of all on the same page here. And I'll just wait. And here's the link: is omgmachines.com/download control. I'll pull that up for you. All right. Just put it up on the screen here. All right. So omgmachines.com/download control. And let me know. AJ, you've got it. Great. Tom, you've got it. Great. Pete, you got it. Great. Fran's got it. Everybody else? Okay, you got it. Nick? Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it. Good. Good. All right. I just want everyone to be on the same page. Okay. Take a few seconds, and now that you've got it open in front of you, flip through it, and I'd like everybody here to kind of give me your comments. I'll go through some of those comments. I won't necessarily go through all. Well, and I'll go through everybody's comments. So just look through it. I want to kind of start. Of course, I can present to you and tell you what's going on with it, but I want to do this event like a little bit differently, where we're getting a lot of the interaction at the beginning of things. And then I'll explain more of what's going on, kind of the inside baseball. But I just want to start with your initial impressions as you go through it and look through it. So take a few seconds and look through it. I'm gonna pause this for a second to give you some time to look through it. All right, I'm back. Fran says visually appealing. Sunday, sorry, that's Nick says visually appealing. Tom says looks great. Content looks great. Okay. Nick says something to aspire to. Fran says don't always get to email. Got to get to my email, Fran. It's the thing to learn about. If you're getting too many emails from other people, get off their list. But got to get to my emails. Got to get to my emails. Like a pile of gold. That's great. That's great. Tom. Like a pile of gold. Fran says that's great. Okay. All right. I'd like everybody to just find something that speaks to you specifically. I don't care what page it's on, if it's on page 1 or if it's on page 12, if it's a graphic, if it's a headline, a phrase that's inside of it. And I know you're not necessarily prepared, so it's okay. But we're going to kind of use that lack of preparation to your advantage here. We're just going to see what jumps out for you. Maybe it's something in one of the PSs. Maybe you know one of these people, right? A lot of the people in this report are NHBers. Okay, maybe you remember one of these people talking the thread that led to them saying that. Maybe you remember when Lonnie started making some money. Maybe Joe Marfolio is giving you some advice, or you've seen his interview in Commission Conspiracy. So just pick one specific thing in this whole document that speaks to you, and put that down. And I'm not going to say it out loud, but so AJ's reported in. That's good, and I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait for everybody else to report in what they have to say. I'll go through everything. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, good, Nick. All right, so I've heard from AJ and Nick so far. So something specific something specific in this document that speaks to you, and I'll share mine as well. Okay, Fran, can you be a little bit more specific? What's on that page that speaks to you? Just kind of waiting to hear also from a couple other people. Yeah, that's a good one too, Nick. A little bit of a different tempo today. This is good. This is good. We're going to get a lot of value out of this. And of course, if you're watching the replay, you can go to omgmachines.com/download control. You can be going through this exercise with us. What speaks to you? Okay. All right. Good. Nick's got a lot of good things to say here. So, hear from everybody else here. Pete, what do you think? Tom? Fran wants some more specifics. Oh, you read it last night, Nick. Great. All right. So, Nick, you're feeling real familiar with it. Nick, I'm gonna go ahead and bring you live. Do you have a microphone? Kind of curious for your thoughts about things. Let's find out. Nick, Nick, are you there? Nick, you probably don't realize I unmuted you. All right. I'll go ahead and remute Nick. Nick, if you want to grab some headphones and come live and share your thoughts about hashtag control, we can do that. No mic, unfortunately. Actually, I think you do have. Oh, no mic. I see what you're saying. You can't speak in. Okay, that's fine. No problem at all. Okay. All right. So let's start going through some of the comments, and other people can chime in as they want to go along. So we'll start with AJ. AJ says what jumped out for him immediately. And now, was this on page 1 that jumped out for you, AJ? Like right here, launch jacking, $50,000 surprise comeback, or was it? Did it jump out to you like once you got to page 10 here? So when did that kind of spark for you? No, towards the middle. Okay, so when you got to page 10 right here, is that where it was? You got here and it says $50,000 in 2 weeks, launch jacking $50,000 comeback, and you see this testimonial right here. Okay, so that jumped out at you. Why do you think that appealed to you, AJ? Like, what is it about that made it kind of jump out for you? It's kind of immediate, like a specific amount of money. Let's see what you said originally. $50,000 in 2 weeks, a very specified amount of time, right? So right here, 50K in 2 weeks. Okay. so that's something that was really clear and impactful for you. All right, great. All right, let's go through what Nick said here. Nick's got a few things he said. Uh, let's see. Nick says, Lonnie. Okay, so we'll go to where Lonnie is. Page 7. Lonnie goes from absolute novice to coining it, to coin to coining it in. I like that, Nick. It's a good phrase. Yeah, he was a novice. He absolutely was. Also, $1,000 off the iPhone. That's Adam Dare here. Okay, he made his first $1,000 off iPhone, and then from there, he's ultimately been able to quit his day job. Then Nick says, taking advantage of updates rather than letting him beat you. Yeah, this is actually my favorite thing. I'll tell you about this. I love this graphic of this elephant. It just gives me like no end of entertainment looking at it. I just think it's so funny. I scroll in so you can see that a little bit better. Yeah, this graphic of this elephant and the little penguin, I just love him. Yeah, the elephant's on the couch and he's kind of got bloodshot eyes. He's kind of feeling really neurotic, and I'm right there in the room, and nobody even acknowledges me. I gave him a little Google Plus tie. I don't know if you can see it very well, but he's got a I put a pocket protector on him, and the pocket protector has like a little penguin, a Google penguin, and then I gave him the trucker hat at the end. That I thought really put things over the top, makes him look really great. But yeah, that is the elephant in the room. I mean, it is hidden in plain sight. That's the whole basis of OMG is, gosh sakes, I mean, we can just rank number 1 on Google and just get all this free traffic and the authority of it, and people just leave it on the table. That just run off to Amazon or Twitter or Facebook. I mean, Twitter and Facebook are fine, Amazon's fine, but take care of business first. Take care of the low hanging fruit that's just right there. Okay. Tom says Lonnie Welch testimonial, day job killer. Okay, so Lonnie did it for you too. That's very interesting. Actually, I find that very interesting that 2 people keyed off of Lonnie. Can both of you guys that mentioned Lonnie, I guess Nick and Tom, can you tell me what it is about Lonnie? Is it more that you know him personally? Had you maybe you'd heard of him before and seen him before, but then that really kind of specifically spoke to you? Let me know. It's very interesting to me. AJ said, exactly. So my eyes were looking to grab onto something after going through the document that was very attention grabbing. So the whole document was really speaking to you, sort of like if you imagine if you're dating and you walk into a party and there's a bunch of attractive girls or a bunch of attractive guys, depending on what you're looking for. At first, you see the bunch, you see a lot of people, and then you kind of want to zero in on one person, right? Like that kind of a feeling. And then for you, it was so AJ, for you, then you settled in on the launch jacking. Tom says 12,000, then 87,000. Goodbye job. Yeah, exactly, Tom. And he started with no experience. Okay, so the feeling with Lonnie is like, look, I get that this guy started with no experience, and then he just made a bunch of money and quit his day job. Okay. Nick says didn't know him, just remembered his story and the fact that he knew nothing SEO wise and then killed it pretty quick. Great. All right, great. This is really good feedback. Really good feedback. Okay, what I'm going to do, and you can keep typing in your comments and so forth. What I'm going to do is pull up something that is a little older. Now, what I'm saying is that this is a new take on kind of an underground but powerful technique. This is the back to the wall report. I wrote about half of this. I wrote the narrative part of it, and Jeff Walker wrote the other half of it. Has anybody here ever seen this? I would imagine no. This is 2005. Wrote this in 2005, going on 8 years ago. And this was a promotional piece for the original product launch formula launch. Has anybody here ever heard of product launch formula or Jeff Walker? Some people will have, some people won't have. I imagine somebody's heard of him. Fran says no. AJ, no. Fran says Jeff Walker. So you have heard of Jeff Walker. Okay. So Jeff asked me to come in behind the scenes. He paid me to help him launch product launch formula. And it was during the launch. The launch started off with quite a bang, with what Jeff Walker called the social proof call, where he got a bunch of people: John Reese, Frank Kern, Jeff Johnson, relatively people with relatively strong lists and so forth. Jason Potash to come on a single teleseminar with him. This is the days before webinars. Came on a teleseminar with him, and and just kind of introduced him. Mike Filsaime was there, and that was good. It built us quite a good list to begin with. I think that the list, want to say that we built like pretty big list off of that. It was like maybe 10,000 person list or something like that. It might have been 8,000, might have been 6,000, but it was quite a large list. It might have even been more. And it started off good, but I was really dealing with like a lot of the feedback, talking to different individuals about the launch, customers or potential customers who were asking questions. And I realized that they really didn't have much of a feel for who Jeff Walker was. And I really thought that was going to land us in a pile of trouble. I thought that was ultimately going to bode poorly for the launch. And so what I did was I interviewed Jeff. During the last big launch I worked on was the Traffic Secrets $1 Million Day back in August of 2004. So it was a little bit more than a year before that. And I was behind the scenes with that. John Reese ran that launch. I sort of managed it and helped out with it. But one of the things that John did was John had a newsletter that he would send out, and it was several articles. It was like his marketing secrets newsletter, and it would have like 3 or 4 articles in it. And the last article he introduced the Traffic Secrets launch. Let me see. I wonder if I can find it on Google. I may actually be able to find it on Google. Let's find out here. Good old oliviawild.org here. Let's see. Traffic Secrets branded PDF. Let's see. Let's type in John Reese first. I think Traffic Secrets is a little bit too generic at this point. Yeah, I don't see it here. Maybe I can find it somewhere else. But anyways, regardless, it was something that John put out during that launch to help people, introduce. Well, it was actually just to his list and some affiliates. I think it started with Rich Sheffrin. Realized it was a pretty neat idea, and he wanted to send it out to his list as well. And that's what he did. He sent it out to his list with his affiliate link in it, leading up to the launch, and then more and more affiliates wanted that. And it was something really good for, because the people that were on John's list really knew him well. John would give this. John gave this a speech, quite a big speech at something called the System Seminar, and it was really big. There was a whole standing ovation when he was done, and it went through his story of how he was really deeply in debt. And one time he sold a website for $1,000, and he found out the next week that the guy who he sold it to resold it for $1 million. Can you imagine like emotionally what that would be like if you sold a website for $1,000 and you found out a week later that the person who bought it resold it for $1 million? That'd be kind of crazy, right? Tell me what kind of reaction you'd have to that. Just kind of curious. Yeah, big emotional reaction, right? Yeah, it's a heartbreaker, exactly. AJ. Yeah, okay, exactly. So he gave this speech, and it really fired people up, and it talked about his rags to riches story, and especially his riches. He really focused in on some underground interesting methods that he was using to make money, and And so most of the people on John's list, John had a very small list, about 3,000 person list, but those people were all very high quality people. Many of them had met him in person, and they're all very impressed with him. And it put him in quite a unique position, to be able to, about half the sales for the $1 million day were to his list, just directly to his list. But to other people that were blasting for his launch, they didn't know John, and so giving those people one of John's newsletters, where he at the end of it, where he introduced the Traffic Secrets launch, was really smart, because it began to introduce those people to John's narrative. They got to meet John as a person and got to get to know John as a person. That kind of personal touch. I'm sure everybody here can remember a time when you didn't know somebody personally, and then you found out about something that really spoke to you, where you realized, hey, this is a real person like me. They're a lot like me. And it made the sense of personal connection much deeper. Okay. It made it much more impactful. And that's what I did with this Back to the Wall report. I realized that the people were excited about Jeff and what was going on and the buzz for the launch, but they didn't know him. They didn't know him as a person. And that's what I wanted to do with this report, was really help people meet him as a person. So what I want to do now, when I read this, or when I wrote this, this is very much from the heart. I was very in tune with Jeff and Jeff's emotions and Jeff's feelings. The overwhelming and humbling response, 216 responses piled up. We link here to the blog, where people can look at the blog and the blog comments. Start talking about when Jeff had a job, and talks about how I was miserable. I was miserable working this dog. I was just about to turn 28. Like so many young families, money was tight. But one night I told my wife that I needed to make a change. And shortly after that, with a new kid and no idea of what I was going to do, I walked away from that quote unquote golden opportunity job forever. Now, let me just say on the record right now that I don't know what I would have done if it wasn't for my wife, Mary. While I sat around and played Mr. Mom and contemplated how the heck I was going to get us out of the jam that we were in, and what I was going to do with my life, Mary, pardon my French, busted her ass to feed us and to keep the lights on. But days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and before I knew it, years had passed, and I was still paralyzed, feeling more and more isolated by the day. I had ideas, stuff I was working on, but nothing had ever materialized. I could tell things were getting harder and harder on Mary. She was watching Daniel shoot up like a sprout, and not to mention the new baby. And every day she was reminded of what she really wanted, to stay at home and be a mom. And meanwhile, the in-laws weren't so happy with their son-in-law. In fact, I'm sure my parents were downright embarrassed. I got to tell you, I think that this was too much. I don't agree. I think I really went over the top on this. Back then, a little long on the emotions, a little short on the compassion. I think this was too much. Anyways, so this is the kind of turning point of the story. And one day, Mary came home, and I could tell just from one look at her that things were not good. I stood there ashamed as my wife told me that she just couldn't bear to watch from the sidelines as our children grew up. And meanwhile, the very same things that had eaten me alive when I had a job were unraveling her as well. What could I say? I told her that things would change, but I didn't know how. I was confused, and I felt cornered. That night was rock bottom. If only I'd been able to put up with that job, then maybe things would be okay. But it was too late. I committed career suicide. My family was barely scraping by as it was, and I was no longer had marketable skills. And any potential employer would just look at me as somebody who'd been sitting on my duff for 4 years. This is really emotional. Like what I'm saying, I cried when I wrote this. I really did. I just, like, tears were just streaming down my face. It was tough. And Mary, Jeff's wife, she actually edited this, and she called me up and she said that it made her cry too. Then it goes into how he was on CompuServe, and he found out about this this $95 course called Turn Your Computer into a Money Making Machine. And it talks about, I printed up a copy of that email sales letter on my dot matrix printer. It was 12 pages, and I read it and reread it. It was all about using direct marketing to sell information. It didn't even cover the internet. That was too brand new back then. I was fascinated all the same, and at the same time at a total loss for what to do. I can't recall exactly how many times I read that letter, or how many notes that I scribbled in the margins, or how many bullets I circled. My best answer is a lot. This went on for 2 weeks. I reread that letter almost every single day. Right now, you might be asking yourself, $95, what's the big deal? Why can't you just charge it? Let me tell you about what. Let me tell you about one of the threads our family lives was hanging on, and it was called our budget. It was an agreement that we ate, slept, and breathed by, and our budget for miscellaneous items was $400 per year. Now, right now, my memory is so vivid, I can almost taste it. I stayed up every night poring over every last word of that sales letter and agonizing over my decisions. Finally, I took that life-changing action. I pulled the trigger. I sent off a check. The total shipping was $99.50. I was terrified to tell Mary, wondering what she would think that I was being a fool, so I didn't tell her. The rest is history. The course I bought provided excellent information, direct marketing, and information marketing. About a week later, I had the guts to tell Mary about how I spent $100. I read the course over and over again. I started putting it into action. I started working on a business. But wrestling with that decision to buy that course and finally taking action after struggling through the decision for 2 weeks taught me one essential lesson. I had to learn to do business like I was cornered, and like the only way to come out was with both guns blazing. All right, so and then Jeff ultimately turned around, and by the way, he's become a very, very successful business person at this point. This was a narrative where I really wanted to put people like on Jeff's side, emotionally touch them, really get close with them. And again, there were one point in there I thought was a bit too much. But as I read this and as I go through this, tell me any thoughts that you have. I mean, was that emotional for you? Maybe it's not. Maybe it seems kind of cheesy to you, or maybe not that big of a deal, or maybe it just doesn't touch you, or maybe it does. Maybe it really works for you. I'm just kind of curious as I read this, what you're thinking as I read this story. Very emotional, Fran says. Okay, was it very emotional for you? What kinds of emotions, Fran? Like lows and highs? Life is hard, Tom said. Yeah, it can be hard. Doesn't have to be, but it can be. Yeah, definitely emotional, right? Okay. Not being afraid to really go for it. I think it's very, very anthemic. I think that turned the launch around. I do not think that the launch would have been near the success that it was without that report. And I think it was a really big deal. That same core idea of getting the narrative across, becoming a real person to the people that we're dealing with, and having that emotional factor on our side as we're making a sale and as we're helping people consume our products, because we don't want to just, if somebody buys something through our affiliate link, or if we're working with a local client, we want that client, that customer, to consume our products, to use them, to put them to work in their lives. It's very important for us, and that's why I've kind of done this way. #control, because I wanted this to be touching. I wanted this to really hit home for NHBers and for OMGers. I wanted to make that personal connection and do it from a number of different angles. But whereas you can see that these are two very different reports, this back to the wall report, it tells one story. Okay, the #control tells a lot of stories. It tells over a dozen of them, of people who I know that I've met and gotten close with, and it was tough. It was tough for me to boil it down to exactly who I was going to introduce and exactly who I was going to talk about, and so on. But I really enjoyed it. It took me several days. Fran says low period. Yeah. You make a connection with your customer. Yeah, that's exactly right, Tom. Now I remember, I want to bridge out for a second. I'll talk a little bit more about this report in a minute. But I did want to make mention of something that I think is important. I remember one time I was single, and I was out at kind of a restaurant that had a little bit of a dance area and an outdoor patio. And it was late at night. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was with my friend. It's a really nice guy. His name's Terrell, and we were mostly just hanging out. We weren't like on the prowl or anything like that, like really necessarily looking to meet girls. We were just kind of out and hanging out, dancing a little bit, just chilling. And I met a girl there. I want to say her name was Katie. And I started talking to her. She was really quite pretty. I talked to another girl for a little while, and she didn't really do it for me. But this girl was really pretty, and she was like a speech pathologist, studying to get her master's degree in speech pathology. And I just couldn't get that excited about talking to her. It just didn't. It just ultimately didn't click for me. And what's interesting about that is that I just didn't feel. I just didn't feel, even though she was attractive, she responded to me well and all this stuff. I just didn't feel like she was very likely to be a good prospect for me. And if I'm really in a dating mode, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that rut. I mean, it's not a good idea. You really want to be able to really try to make a connection. Like, you might say to yourself, well, this girl, she's just not going to work out, blah, blah, blah. But really looking back on things, I think that was quite a mistake. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, very, very possibly things wouldn't have worked out between me and Katie or whatever. But we want to be able to, to practice perfect and play perfect. We don't want to practice sloppy. So if we meet somebody at a store, and we strike up a conversation with them, sell them a website. It's kind of weird, but like, really, like, ultimately you want to have a path to be able to sell that person a website, or for them to go to one of your offers and click on an affiliate link and buy it. I'm not saying that the purpose of the internet is to become a door-to-door salesperson. In the same way, I know what I was thinking that night. What I was thinking is, I would rather just go home and get on, if I'm really going to try to date somebody, I would rather go home and get on Match.com and try to date somebody. But Katie was right in front of me. So what's the problem, right? Like, it really doesn't move me in a good direction if I don't go and try to find out what's going on with her, and reach her and connect with her as a person, and just be genuinely interested and engaged with her. People respect what you inspect. Like, if I'm not in it enough to have things work out, if they could work out, then I'm really taking away from my total edge when it comes to things. So, for example, if I'm answering emails and I'm not trying to get people right now to jump into Endgame or to jump into NHB, then what am I doing? Like, it just doesn't make sense, because ultimately we have wonderful products. I'm making personal connections with people. How many people here who are live on this event have had some sort of a personal interaction with me by email or Facebook, anything like that? I know Abby has, because I actually interviewed Abby. But has anybody else here? Abby, yeah, definitely. Abby, by the way, I know you came in late. Have you read Hashtag Control yet? I thought about putting you in here, by the way. It was I don't know how you feel about that. I also kind of knew you were kind of shy, and I didn't know how you feel about it. But I thought about it. Just now, Tom. That's funny. AJ. Yep, you sent an email a while ago, and I responded in a memorable way. Great. That somehow these two ideas are related. This idea of practicing perfect face-to-face sales, and this narrative that gets encapsulated in this PDF report. They're related. As people go to my website, area51lifestyle.com, they get they're signing up for a report, the Revenge Report. And let me see if I can find it. I don't know if I have it on this computer or not. Really, really had an enormous amount of success with these PDF reports. Here's a spy photo of it, but I don't think. Oh, yeah, I do have it. I don't. This is probably an old version of it. Revenge Report. Okay, and it starts off with these testimonials, written testimonials from people. Okay, lots of them. I got lots of testimonials, and then revenge. I go through this Revenge Report. I explained that there's going to be a second season of The Pickup Artist. I show our video channel at that point. It was like 1.6 million views. Now it's around 4.3 million views or something like that. Go through the video channel. This is back when you had to have stars. Almost all of our videos had 5 stars. Why? I'd asked them for it. Abby, you and I talked a lot about like quality views. Abby's got a whole business where she's able to do like video stuff, like get people good quality video views and so forth. And I would encourage people to give our videos 5 stars. And again, this is like back in the 5-star era before like the like era. And yeah, and people would just go through it. Then I had this a video book, so people would have these video tests. I'd have these video testimonials, and this book really worked. I mean, this was an immensely successful movement, and I would do it. I've got I wasn't a pickup artist. I never will be a pickup artist, and I knew that from the very beginning. And I decided to let that kind of be my strength. At the same time, like with internet marketing, I really just don't feel like I'm a guru. I don't see myself as a professional guru. I see myself as an underground guy, where I've made most of my money in just different niches, launching various products or doing affiliate sales and stuff like that. And I just don't have this self-identity as a guru, but then I just try to like let that work to my advantage. It's one of the reasons why I underscore so much. I mean, the word underground, let's do a search for the word underground and see how many times it comes up. Underground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 times in a 16-page report, the word underground comes in. I really want to get that point across to people because I'm just not a pro guru. It's not what I do with my life. Okay. All these images disappeared for me briefly. So that's what we're trying to do here is we're trying to signal to people like who we are. Now you might say to yourself, well, this is pretty far from where I am right now, but this will give you a waypoint. And for one thing, Abby, I know you could be doing this. I know that you could have at least a 2 or 3 page PDF that explains some of the things that people could know about YouTube views and how to be successful with it. Just a document that they can flip through and they can click and go go to a website or web page or something like that. This is something I think that most every business should have like some sort of an anthemic report to it. It's pretty hard for me to imagine one that wouldn't, where it really just ultimately wouldn't make sense. To get that narrative across, to let people know who you are, what you're about, what you stand for, with things. I think that's really important. So much of what's going on with this is I go through this revenge report. Let's go a little bit deeper into this. Goes into the debriefs from the Playboy Mansion party, and I introduced this course and so forth. But before we even got to actually, as we get to the course, as we talk about things, I really try to like let people know what mystery stands for. He's a teacher, right? Here he is with one of his students. Project Hollywood Formula, Playboy Mansion Fast Start Home Study course is like having mystery in your corner, right? That's what these guys want. They want to have mystery in their corner. Abby, you'll go through what today for sure? The revenge report or hashtag control. So what I'm saying to people is the course looks like this, but it feels like this. I love this. The course looks like this, but it feels like this. That's probably something I should have put in hashtag control now that I think about it. I actually added it a little bit later. Write that down. I wonder if I have love story. No, I don't. Yeah, I had another PDF called Love Story that was like that. Okay, great. So that's what it's about. It's about this kind of making this personal connection, and then I explain the product and how they can buy it, and give them more testimonials. And the bullets in here are really good. They really carry a lot of the report. Just very passionate, focused bullets on what people get after Game with Evil Dave and so forth. Okay, so that's some of the background behind how I came up with this. I actually shot a video earlier today that I'll send out at some point to the whole OMG list. It's about 30 minutes that goes into some stuff on hashtag control and explains some of the background and so forth. But what I wanted to do with you today was get a little bit more intimately into it and explain this idea a little bit more clearly. What I want to find out, I'm in a lot. I'm going today. I'm going for about an hour, so I'm going to finish things off in about 8 minutes, or maybe even less if we don't have any questions. Let me find out if we have any questions from anybody on what you saw today, and I want to kind of like leave you with this, like a little bit shorter of an event, but focused on what's in here, what you like about it, thoughts that you have, questions, anything like that. And of course, if you think of something later, you can always shoot me an email at omg@omgmachines.com. So let me find out if there's any questions. I'll give it a minute or two. I'm just going to pause and run and grab a drink. I'll come back if there's any questions. I'll answer it, and otherwise we'll wrap things up. All right, I am back. See if we have any questions. No questions? All right, great. All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much. I'm so glad that you attended this event, and I will get the replay of this up and out as soon as possible. Have a wonderful Sunday, and I will see you next week. Next Saturday will be the last Money Getting with Mike event. I'm probably going to go over email marketing and the Stephen Saunders case study. Kind of looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to start putting these webinar replays in your members area. That'll be really, really cool. So Abby, thank you very much. Fran, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. As always, make sure you jump over to omgmachines.com/blog/NHB and post your comments. If you like this event, if you had fun with it, get in here and post your review. Let us know. We're very, very proud of all the comments that we get in. You can post comments both on Facebook and right here. There's the regular blog comments. For some reason, the Facebook comments aren't popping right up, but they'll pop up here in a few seconds. So if you feel like jumping in there and posting a comment, we'd really appreciate it. And thank you very much. Your caring and your support and your focus. It always makes. Oh wow, we have 33 comments here. I guess this is new from Eric Severance. That's great. That's great. I love that. So many comments. It's wonderful. All right, everybody. So thank you very, very much. Really, really appreciate you. AJ, thank you. Pete, thanks. Appreciate it. Tom, thanks. Fran, wonderful. Oh, one from Fletch here. Yeah, Eric and Shirley. Cheryl. Oh, Jamie Harrison. That's new. Huh, that's wonderful. That's great. Okay, guys. Well, anyways, thank you very much. Appreciate you joining this event, and I'll see you on the inside.